Many of our women that are not really economically empowered mainly come from the rural areas, and the traditions and cultures have really hampered them from being empowered.
Looking at Kenya, it's really more like a warped situation. There are those who would say are empowered. There are those who are on road to empowerment, and there are those who are not empowered.
So if you look at the way the Kenyan woman is brought up, the ultimate goal most of the time is to get married. So they may not really have a vision of their own. After all, the conditions for them, they may not even get that kind of encouragement to go to school, to be a better person.
So you naturally feel, even as a child growing up, your mother would always tell you, keep quiet, let your father talk, or keep quiet, let your brother talk. So by nature, it was just ingrained in us that we're second best and we can't move forward. It's not our place to be seen, we're only meant to be heard.
I had a chance to go to the rural areas actually back in 1997. What struck me was actually the poverty levels. I remember this one meeting, and I was talking to women, and there was this particular woman who was seated right in front of me. She was smiling, listening to what I was saying, but what I noticed was that she didn't have shoes. So I wondered, I was like, how possible is it that, a woman like of the age of my mother that time would just be walking without shoes? And so I was very touched, and I thought, wow, this would be a nice platform to come back and talk to these women. And I was very determined because I thought that was not acceptable. And that is how I started having this dream of just going back to the rural areas and talking to women and telling them it is possible, just encouraging them.
Once these women got into these groups, they started learning to save. They started interacting, on a different level. They started thinking about business, that when they meet with the rest of the women, they put their heads together, they put their ideas together. And today, the kind of woman you're talking about is not that woman that was just sitting doing nothing. You have a woman who is doing business. Some of them have even grown to the extent that now they are participating in public procurement.
JoyWo is doing many things right. The concept of table banking is not new, but how JoyWo has looked at it, conceptualized it, and made it a very simple concept that women will understand, that will gain the trust of women. Many women do not have ready cash waiting for somebody to come and tell them this is how you'll invest it.
Some of the obstacles that have really put women back in terms of empowerment is access to finances. Many of our women don't really have money. They really have to depend on their husbands or somebody else to give them. So even if we had all these financial institutions trying to help them, they ask for collateral, and yet these women don't have. So they are not able to access finances, and therefore are not able to take loans to be able to do their business, which then will help them in being empowered.
Letting the women also have control of their money in terms of explaining to them how this money is going, this is what the money is going to generate, and also helping them become decision makers in terms of how that money will be distributed and how the interest will be earned and how it will be saved. By
April of 2010, when we were doing our fundraising, we just had about 400 groups. And that time we were revolving about 58 million Kenya shillings. And we have grown from 2010. Today, our total revolving fund is at 890 million Kenya shillings. We have a total of about 130,000 women who are members of Joyful Women Organization.
There's a situation where there was a lady who came into table banking, and with that, she actually bought herself a kiosk, and then after that, she bought herself a little shop. I mean, that is amazing.
Women who just used to sit waiting for handouts from their husbands are now very busy and supporting their families, because many of them tell me that, they didn't even know how to do business, They thought business belonged to other people, but today they are very, very, very busy with their lives.
Even the men are now members of JoyWo behind the scenes, because now they sit down with their wives, they plan together how they are going to get the loans from JoyWo, how they are going to utilize it, and you find that the men are really supporting it.
We have come from far, from a very small beginning. We like one African proverb in our office that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. So we are calling our partners to come along so that we can walk far with them. And as we benefit as JoyWo, they'll also be able to benefit as our partners.